Good morning. This is Reflection from St. Francis Assisi in Burien, Washington for the 4th of June, 2020. My name is Robert Edgman. I have two dogs. Isaac is half Shar-Pei and Oliver is half bird dog. The Shar-Pei, they were bred to be palace guard dogs. They have watchdog proclivities. They're very suspicious of anyone coming up to or walking by the house, and they'll sound the alarm loudly and incessantly because that's what they were bred to do. That's what's in their nature. And believe me, Isaac is very true to his nature. I know every time the neighbor's teenagers come home after 1 a.m. Bird dogs, they were bred to bark when they see a bird, and this is to alert the humans where the prey is, and also to flush the bird into flight so it can be shot on the wing. My backyard, it ends at a green belt with tall trees full of birds. I'm very aware of this because Oliver brings this to my attention all day long. Because of the nature of Isaac and Oliver, Edgman Manor can be a very noisy place. In fact, what you're watching today has had to be recorded multiple times because during the recording, either Isaac has felt the need to alert me that someone's walking down the street, or Oliver has let me know that there are birds in the trees. The barking of Oliver and Isaac, it's part of their genetic inheritance, their instinctual nature. Telling them over and over again to stop barking, that just doesn't work. They have to be guided, encouraged, nurtured towards new ways of behavior, a behavior that's more appropriate to their current condition. They have to be nurtured to move past their instinctual nature. Eileen and I recognize that to do this, we need to go to someone who's an expert in canine behavior, so the boys, they're seeing a professional trainer. Humans, they have a genetic inheritance as well. We are all biologically hardwired to be protective of those who are part of our group, part of our family, part of our clan. We are biologically hardwired to be suspicious of strangers, those who don't look like us, sound like us, think like us. This prejudging, it was necessary 50 or 60,000 years ago when people gathered together in groups of small nomadic tribes for survival. But while nomadic tribes have evolved into villages or into towns, into city-states, into countries, where daily a person interacts with those who don't sound, think, or look like them, our genetic inheritance of prejudging, this survival instinct, it's devolved into groundless, unwarranted prejudice. The murder of George Floyd, the outcry of people who are judged by the color of their skin instead of the contents of their heart, this shows our failure to move past the most primitive of survival instincts, that fear of those who are not like us. We've tried to. We've tried education with workshops, seminars, classes, and speakers. We've tried to manage it through human resource procedures and protocols, processes, regulations, ordinances, and laws. We've tried coercion through loss of employment, social stunning, community banishment, incarceration. But any progress we've made, well, it's hard won, but it also seems so fleeting because people so easily slip back to our primitive genetic inheritance. Brothers and sisters, frustration has reached the tipping point. Hands are being thrown up in the air in concession. Maybe we can't move people beyond their base instincts. I do know one thing for certain. Continuing to approach this issue by telling people to stop being prejudiced, punishing them when they are, it's like telling Isaac and Oliver to stop barking. The behavior will cease for a moment, but it'll always come back because that instinctual nature has not been addressed. Jesus knew that until people move past self-centeredness, self-interest, suspicion, they would never know peace. They would never know fulfillment and happiness. They would never know God. In today's gospel reading, Mark 12, 28 through 34, a scribe asked Jesus, "What is the first of all commandments?" Jesus told him that it was to love God completely. But in order to do that, you must first love your neighbor as yourself. And he concluded by saying, there is no other commandment greater than these. That part of this gospel story, most of us are well aware of. The part that's often skimmed over, though, is that when the scribe agreed with what Jesus said, Jesus replied, "You are not far from the kingdom of God. The scribe, by agreeing, was not far, but he wasn't there yet, because agreeing is just the start of the journey. Taking action, that is what brings you to the kingdom of God. Brothers and sisters, we all know that prejudice is wrong, sexism is wrong, bigotry is wrong, racism is wrong. But what can we do different from what we are currently doing to guide, encourage, and nurture us away from that behavior and towards showing love and acceptance towards our neighbor, towards all of God's children? Because let's be frank, what we are currently doing right now just isn't working. Well, fortunately, Jesus gave us step-by-step instructions on how to guide, encourage, and nurture ourselves and others towards this new behavior. Read Matthew 5:38 through 48. But I say to you, give to him who asks of you, and do not turn away from him who wants to borrow from you. Read Matthew 25:35 through 45. I was hungry and you fed me. I was a stranger and you invited me in. Jesus knew that grand gestures, more rules and laws, that would not move us away from our base instinct. Those will not move us towards love and acceptance of others. Jesus knew that only through small, personal, daily acts of unconditional love and acceptance would we be able to address our genetic, instinctive self-centeredness and suspicion. And once we take care of what's inside ourselves, then we will be able to successfully deal with the prejudice and bigotry of our society as a whole. So your homework for the week. First, read Matthew 5. Then read Matthew 25:35 through 45. Begin to guide, encourage, and nurture yourself towards new ways of behavior by committing to do at least one act of acceptance and selflessness towards one person each day that is not part of your family, your circle of friends, or influence. Commit to do one act of selflessness towards one person who is different from you in some way. Next, begin to guide, encourage, and nurture yourself and others towards new ways of behavior by gently and with love, interrupting expressions, interrupting talk, interrupting actions by those in your circle of influence that convey suspicion, fear, uncertainty towards those that are different from them. Brothers and sisters, be safe, be strong, wash your hands, go in peace, glorifying the Lord by your life.